What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Packwood Performance 4x4. We're sitting in the Nickson because it's a little windy outside. As you can see, I started making a video on changing the spark plugs and valve covers, but I ended up getting the wrong valve covers. There was a lot of bad things that happened and it wasn't a great video, so I just changed the spark plugs and now we've got it running good. There was a miss. It kind of was just a slight little hesitation every once in a while, nothing major. But when I pulled the spark plug ignition coils out, on the very far back side, which I believe is number 6, it was just full of oil. And I knew the spark plugs needed to be changed anyway, so I just cleaned all that out and went ahead and got it put back together. And maybe I can make another video whenever we get the new or correct valve covers. But it's running good now, so I want to go ahead and make a video. So now that it's running good, I want it to maybe sound a little bit better. It definitely sounds good. It kind of has a performance car sound, but it's very quiet. So I think by deleting the resonator pipe, it will make it just a little bit louder and sound a little bit more performance, because this car gets up and goes, it drives good, it feels like a sports car. So maybe we can make it sound a little bit more like a sports car. Let's go ahead and give it a cold start up and see what it sounds like before. Alright, we'll sit here and wait for it to idle down, and then we'll do a couple revs, and then we'll test it out and see the difference in sound from with a resonator and without a resonator. Alright, we're under the car. You can see I have the jack and jack stands. Not a real great place to put the jack stands, so they are under the control arms. The jack is underneath the rear end, still up, so that way I feel a little bit more secure. At the back you'll have the muffler, and before the muffler there is this, which is the resonator. It makes the exhaust a little bit more quiet for luxury style vehicles, but we are going to see what we need to get this removed. Looks like we have a 2.5-inch pipe, and it needs to be about 15 to 16 inches long. And then we're going to need 2 clamps to clamp the new pipe in. Alright, so we're going to go to the store and get that piece of pipe and then 2 clamps. So here we have our pipe, our 2 clamps, 2.5 inch to fit around, and I am going to attempt this with my jigsaw and a metal cutting blade. Typically you would use a Sawzall or a other known as a reciprocating saw, maybe even a hacksaw. Sometimes you can use a grinding cutting wheel, but I think I'll be able to do it with this if I rotate around, not letting it bounce up and down inside. So we're going to measure where it flares on each side. You want to cut out that much for the pipe to slide in. So we're going to be cutting out a section approximately 14 inches. So we'll get under the car, mark out that 14 inches. Alright, we're back under the car, and like I said, we need to put a mark 14 inches where we're going to cut this out, and our other one will slip into its place. I'm going to start by putting a line in the back because we have less space to use, and you can see a little flare here. So where that flare is, I think, is where we're going to cut. So I'm going to put my line right there, and then we will measure our 14 inches and put our other line. Now make sure you use safety glasses because you are cutting metal and you don't want to get a piece of metal in your eye. So safety first. Now if you're not comfortable with using power tools, I suggest you use a hacksaw. It'll take a little bit longer, but it should be able to cut through this no problem. Well, my cut's not great, but I'll straighten that up. So this is the piece we cut out. This is a resonator. It's just like a muffler, but it basically muffles the sound or makes it quieter because, I don't know if you can see in there, but it has little holes that the exhaust goes into, and then has a bunch of insulation or fibers in there to basically make it quiet. Before putting the pipe in, we want to take some sandpaper and sand around the outside of this because it's got all kinds of rust on it. Maybe take a wire wheel and it'll just make the pipe slide on so much easier. So we got everything cleaned up, ready to put on. I thought this looked too big when I got it. It obviously is not a 2.5. We will run to the store and get the right ones. But before we go, I think we should go ahead and start it and see what it sounds like without a resonator and without mufflers. So this is what we got from the store. We got 2.25 inside diameter. So we're basically going to cut this flange off. And we have an adapter that is a 2.25 inside diameter and a 2.25 outside diameter. We had to get 3 clamps because once we cut this off, it's going to be the same size all the way. And this is the size of our exhaust pipe, so it will end up sliding over. Let's go ahead and get started cutting this flare off. Alright, as you can see here, I modified the adapter piece just a little bit. This is basically how the exhaust would be underneath the car, and so we didn't get any air restriction or a piece hanging here out of the way. That way it's a smooth flow. Okay, so this has been a lot harder than it should have been, but we got our piece cut. Here's our pipe that slides inside the exhaust. I'd much rather it go on the outside, but that's all we have. Slide this pipe on. There. Put our 13mm nuts back on. Alright, now we're going to put our 3 exhaust clamps on. One here, and one there. I'll probably end up having this welded the right way later on because I don't like this. But this was just temporary to do something and make a video of and see what it sounds like. Well, we got to put back together. What do you think? Does it sound better? Does it sound worse? Did it really make a difference? But if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and maybe we will fix something a little bit better next time. I think it sounded better with no muffler at all.